Hello and welcome to NLU Day. I'm Rick Yaconis coming to you from National Louis University. National Louis University has a long-standing history since 1886, and we are very proud of our tens and thousands of distinguished alumni. Today we're having a conversation with our president, Dr. Naveen Begahed, who has been the president of National Louis University since 2010. Dr. McGahead, let's start with this. What is NLU Day?
Well, NLU Day is first a day for us to reach out to all of our alumni and have them, re-engage with us and join our community and be part of it. And we also hope that they'll help support our other students and our other activities as we continue to build this university.
So one of our objectives is to raise $50,000 by 500 donors. And I understand there's going to be a board and lifetime trustee match to that.
Yes, and yes, we already have the match. Our board has stepped up and they are so excited. And so anybody who does help support the institution, every dollar you give will really be double that because you have a match from our board of trustees.
Well, let's talk about you for a little bit. So you've been the president at National Louis University since 2010. I understand that may be the longest tenured president for National Louis University.
No, that's
No.
not true at all. Our founder, Elizabeth Harrison, I believe, was president for like over 25 years. And then her successor, who worked with her through many of those years, Edna, also had a very long tenure. Now, maybe that the women, I am the third woman to serve as president of National Louis University, and it may be that us three women have had the longest tenures. I don't know what that says, but that may be the facts.
So you only have 12 more years to match that.
Yes.
What has kept you focused to stay at National Louis University and to continue being in the field of higher education?
Well, I have always been passionate about students pursuing their educational dreams. I also have always believed that education is the greatest equalizer in our world. National Louis, though, is somewhat of a magical place. Uh, it is a place where everyone believes of the importance of opportunity for all students, and where any student who wishes the chance to advance themselves and to improve themselves is welcome to come here to do that. And I always say most institutions, like our values are innovation, access, excellence, and equity. And very few institutions will put those together. Very few believe that you could be access oriented, which means we give everyone a chance and still pursue excellence because they believe excellence is defined by only selecting the very top students. Well, I would say that's education for wimps, that we as an institution believe in the potential of all. And so we pursue excellence and allow everyone the chance to achieve that excellence within themselves. And at the same time, we're innovative and we believe in equity. I think that's just a magical combination.
So every morning when you get out of bed and you get excited to go to work, what are the things that you're focused on that keep you excited to come in that day?
It really is about how do we continue to have that kind of impact? How do we help people get better jobs when they leave here and be able to improve their own lives, the lives of their families, the lives of their communities? So every time I see people successfully navigating that way or figuring out a way for us to better support them so they can successfully navigate their way, that makes me very excited.
There are two main issues focusing on challenges that higher education has today. One is the cost, and second is the perceived value of the degree. What is National Louis University doing and continuing to do to keep education affordable?
When I first became president, though, it seemed like every single day, all the articles that were in educational magazines were about how education was too expensive, how students were not completing college, how even if they completed, they were out there without jobs. And I remember many presidents were like saying, gosh, they keep picking on our sector, they keep picking on us. But my response was, you know what? They kind of have a point. And it became really important for us to take a good hard look at how we delivered education, at what price point, how we made it easy for our students, and were we committed to them in the back end where they were looking for employment. And we changed everything we did. So we have made our undergraduate program incredibly affordable. In fact, it is less expensive than any of the other four-year state institutions. And by the way, those state institutions get funding from the state to do it. We find ways to do it where we're very focused on the quality of what we deliver, but we're also very focused on keeping it efficient and effective so that we can keep the price down for our students. Today, our undergraduate degree, if you come in as a freshman, probably costs you about $11,000 a year. And if you are a student who is Pell and MAP eligible, which means you don't have a lot of resources and you're fully Pell and MAP eligible, your tuition is all covered. So we are committed to staying within that range and ensuring that our students are not leaving here with a great deal of debt.
Why do you feel that people have become disillusioned with the value, perceived value of a degree today?
I think it's a false narrative, but I also think that there are many paths for individuals, but it seems like the individuals who follow a path that may not be a college path are somehow taking this narrative and saying you don't need the college path. The fact of the matter is that a college degree is still the greatest way to build your income potential across your lifespan. And an individual with a bachelor's degree will make something like $2 million more than one without one across their, I don't know, it's 1 or 2 million, but it's a pretty significant amount across their lifespan versus someone who doesn't have that degree. So that's pretty compelling and pretty hard to argue with. But I do think that one of the things that happens is that colleges aren't doing enough of a job of connecting their education to the careers that students ultimately pursue. And at National Louis, we've been very deliberate about doing that. We've invested in an area we call the career bridge. We have ensured that students are getting career development and internship experiences across their undergraduate experience. All of that is because we have said as an institution that if our students graduate and do not get jobs, we have failed. So we measure our success not only by you finishing as a student, but you getting a job based on what you learned here. So we're very focused on trying to address the issues that people see education not looking at honestly.
Many times people are focused on the first job, what happens right after I graduate, as opposed to thinking more long term. How do you believe that an education affects somebody's career on a long term basis?
No one's thinking about the first job, maybe a great job, but your second and third job is going to be even greater because you have that education behind you.
And keeping the doors open for continued career growth. The value of having multiple modalities is that we can have students basically customize what kind of education experience they want. It appears that many people prior to the pandemic didn't quite understand what online learning was, and now it's become a norm. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think there are any concerns there?
Well, I think that people understood online learning before. I think now people are more convinced that it is a perfectly acceptable way to learn. There were doubters still before, and I would say today it's seen as a fairly standard way of learning.
So the word innovation continues to come up, that we position National Louis University as an innovator in higher education. What are some of the key innovative initiatives that we're currently focused on?
Innovation, first of all, is always in the service of students. We want our learning to always improve. And so we innovate to improve learning, student experience, student outcomes. So one of the things that we learned was that many of our students really couldn't afford to sacrifice 4 years to complete their degree program. There was just too many competing demands in their lives, even if debt wasn't the issue, because their education would be paid for. And even if they could work part time, it wasn't enough. They had to be working more, they had to be helping their families. Some of them had children, they just had a lot of issues going on. So we launched a program called Accelerate U as one of our innovations, which said, all right, let us rapidly credential students and get them linked into jobs very quickly where they can get economically stabilized so that they can do the things they need to do to support their families. As of this year, Accelerate U has probably served about 350 or 400 students in its first 2 years of existence. It is a medical assisting 6-month credential. It now has a what's called registered behavioral technologist credential. It is launching a technology credential. All of these are 6-month credentials linked to jobs on the completion of that credential, where students make anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000. And now we're looking at how do we link them in to continue their studies in a way that's convenient and fits into their lives while they're working and earning enough of a living that they're not housing insecure and food insecure and worried about their families.
There's been quite an evolution at National Louis University over the past 5 to 10 years, where an institution that was known primarily as an educator of educators has evolved into 6 different colleges. The National College of Education, we now have the Graduate School of Business and Leadership, the Graduate College of Psychology and Behavioral Sciences, a growing undergraduate college that serves multiple students, as well as Accelerate U. And in 2018, we added Kendall College of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management. How do you feel that has changed the face of the institution?
Well, it's changed the institution dramatically. We also serve over 10,000 students today across all those colleges. And our 2030 strategic plan says that we're moving towards becoming a pretty broad serving, multidisciplinary institution. So we've actually been intentional about adding different disciplines, always trying to focus on disciplines that will lead to good job outcomes, but also disciplines that our students express a great deal of interest in. So as an example, we also are just in the process of launching a nursing program, which will lead to not initially sort of bachelor's degree in nursing, but we're also looking at earlier credentials in nursing and master's and doctorate down the road. So, and then we'll add other allied health professions because our students keep asking us for those. We're looking at some potential, we have computer science, but now looking a little bit at some engineering and security kind of programs that are related to computer science, all of which are programs that have really good outcomes for students, and our students keep asking us for those kinds of things.
So there has been a lot of talk in the news lately about college rankings, and National Louis University certainly has received some notoriety in this area. Most recently, number 4 in social mobility, in student body, and best bang for the buck from National Washington National. And then most recent, top 25 of culinary and hospitality schools around the world by CEO World. What's your view of college rankings?
Well, the Washington Monthly rankings that you're talking about were ones that I absolutely loved because they were not looking at sort of how many Rhodes Scholars do you have. They were looking at what I think is fundamentally the most important thing about higher education, which is how do your students do? So this was looking at, do your students actually socially and economically move, and do they have the kind of social impact that you want to see them have? So the ranking was really about, are you really serving the public good? Are you really making the world a better place through what you do? And we ranked, of course, incredibly well on that. And that was incredibly gratifying and powerful because it said, okay, we are achieving our mission. And here is an outside source saying, against all of the other institutions across the country, you are top amongst those in achieving that mission. I have not allowed our institution to participate in those since I've been here because I don't feel like they are measuring the right things. They're measuring the inputs. How many of these types of faculty did you hire? How many of these scholars did you hire? How many publications did you make? Has nothing to do with how well did you teach? How well did your students learn? What did they end up doing with their lives? So I'm pretty thrilled that some of these ranking systems are starting to look at the things that are important.
Today's students have a very different set of challenges. What do you think are some of the key challenges students face today?
We're facing unprecedented inflation in our economy. We're facing the most contentious political climate I've seen in my life. And so I think students are navigating all kinds of things that they had, not to mention all sort of social issues and all the issues of racism and injustice that are happening in our country. And it shocks me at times when I talk to different students who are like 21 years old, who may end up having responsibilities and are caretakers for kids that may be their kids or maybe the kids of their brothers and sisters who aren't there to take care of those kids, who are trying to hold down jobs while they do that, who are trying to pay rent while they do all that. So the kind of pressures on students today feel like extraordinarily tougher in our climate than they've ever been, which is probably why it's so important that we're doing this NLU Day, because it is so often that our students will say, like, I have to drop out because I don't have the $300 to cover these books, or I don't have the $300 to cover the last $300 of this course. And we do as much as we can to offset that. But the more that we can sort of build up a little chest of support for those students to help them when they hit those roadblocks, the more we're going to be successful at helping them get through and eventually lift themselves and their families out of a situation that feels untenable at times.
Our way of helping to keep it affordable is we've only had one significant tuition increase over the last 5 years because we try to help our students out through scholarships and different opportunities. The diversity in the student population is great at National Louis University, from first-time freshmen all the way to a doctoral student or doctoral candidate. What's exciting to you about that?
We have the potential to sort of show the world what it's like to be a truly diverse community that thrives and grows together through our students, through our staff and our faculty. And so we become sort of a microcosm of what the world is. And then we really work very intentionally to say, and how do we make sure that in our world at National Louis, we're building a place where everyone feels valued, where everyone feels they have a seat at the table, where everyone knows that their voice matters. So that's very exciting to me that we get to do that. At the same time, I'll tell you that diversity of students also means that 70% of our students are Pell eligible. 70% of them are BIPOC. And so they're and 70%, by the way, are first gen. So they are an incredibly motivated group that has felt like they often were cut out of opportunities. And so it is a real privilege and an honor to be able to serve them and to support them as they pursue their educational journeys. And really, NLU Day is asking all of you to help us to support those students to get to make that journey successfully.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Naveen Magahed. Any final words to our NLU alumni and community?
Well, I just want to thank you all for everything that you have done in your lives and congratulate you and let you know that our Career Bridge is available to you if you're in a place where you're trying to make a transition or if you're looking to make a different career choice. We like to think at National Louis that it's not necessarily that we're not here for as your degree partner. We're here as your lifelong educational partner. And when you're ready to pick up some additional skills because you want to do something different, please come back and visit us. I hope you think of us as home. We certainly think of you all as part of our family. Thank you.
And we hope that you will help us meet our goal, 500 donors to equal $50,000 raised today to help the future of every one of our students.
50,000 or bust. Thanks, guys.